Well, it's been a long time since the boat looked like this.
All good. I had a little wobbly moment today, but
It's not like you, babe. Well, it's another milestone moment. We've actually got a Dodger back.
so I've got my multi set of Allen keys here that's got like 9 Allen keys on it. Alright, well, that one's too big, and so the next one down, next size. Oh look, that one's too small. Throw that one away. No, that doesn't fit. Oh, too small. Fuck it.
We should have just filled it in because it's obsolete. But anyway, we've got a cunning plan. This is going to go over the top of it, and then no one will ever be any the wiser, unless of course you've seen this video. Voila! Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah! Cockpit's finished! Yeah. Cockpit's finished!
This is Brilliant 2, a Kelly Peterson 44 built in 1978. This is us, the Smallwoods. And this is the story of our long overdue boat refit. Welcome along for the ride.
Well, it's Monday the 2nd of August 2021, and the cockpit paint has been curing for about a week and a half now. It's all looking very shiny and white, and I am about to start the varnish job. Here's all our sanded timber. This is all going to be done with the clear coat that we've started using. This teak here will be done with Semco, which is an oil. It's all masked up and ready to go.
This forward hatch is just the last bit of a round of varnish for today.
Coat 3.
Coat number 3.
Coat number 4 tomorrow.
Coat number 4 and last one tomorrow.
So today we are getting the Dodger on, and we're trying not to bang our heads on this framework, which hasn't been up for a while, and I think I've banged mine on it about 3 times so far.
What we're doing is we're bolting this frame back to where it was before, basically dry fitting everything. We're just going to take the screws out, lift each foot up, put sealant under it after taping around it, and then screw it down, wipe off the excess sealant, then move on to the next one.
Well, we've just got the Dodger framework back on, and so now the next thing is to reinstall the press studs that the soft fabric attaches to. Reinstaller there.
Milestone.
Yeah, another milestone moment. Oh, I'll just walk you through a couple of things here. We've got a nice new perspex backing to the instrument panel here, and we discovered something that we hadn't done. In our haste to bog and sand and paint, we forgot that there's this little hole here. We should have just filled it in because it's obsolete. But anyway, we've got a cunning plan. This is going to go over the top of it, and then no one will ever be any the wiser, unless of course you've seen this video. Well, it's been a long time since the boat looked like this. There's the cockpit. Here's looking forward.
All good. I had a little wobbly moment today, but
It's not like you, babe. Well, it's another milestone moment. We've actually got a Dodger back. Yay!
hurrah! We have about 6 winches. This is a very old Lumar 44 ST 2-speed winch, which means you crank the handle one way and it goes in one gear, and you crank it the other way and the drum spins the same direction but in a lower gear. This is one that I've already stripped down, cleaned, greased, oiled, put back together, and as you can hear, it sounds very nice. This one is ready to go back on. To put them back on, you have to partially disassemble them, take the drum off so you can get to the 5 bolts that go through the coaming. So I've just loosely screwed this back together and put a piece of tape on it so I know that it's been done. I wasn't quite sure how these came apart, so I just went online, and you can download the instructions for any winch that was ever built. So this is a model 44 ST, Gives you instructions on stripping it down and putting it back together. Gives you an exploded diagram of the winch. Even gives you the parts list, part numbers if you have to replace something. Good thing to have. So these are the components. They consist of what everyone recognises, the drum with the self-tailing jaws on the top there. You see in the bottom of the drum, this is a bearing surface in here. This is the base, as bottom of the main shaft there. There's one of the pull mechanisms there. We've got a couple of ball races that go inside the drum. Part of the self-tailer that peels the line off of the self-tailer. Various bits here, shafts, nuts and bolts, circlips. It looks pretty daunting at first, but it's quite simple to do. And over here I've got the pull mechanism. These fit together like so. Provide the ratchet. I'm just using some white spirit here to get the last bit of grease out of these bearings. The recommendation is that these pulls with a little tiny spring in there are just oiled. Got a light oil here which comes from the chandlery, and I'll just squirt some of that in here. That's all you want. You don't want grease on these. It tends to make them sticky. This is the ratchet gear that they fit into. They recommend putting a bit of grease around this surface, and only a light grease. You don't want much. I'm just going to push those pulls in with my fingers. Smaller winches you might have to push in with a screwdriver or something. There they go, fitting perfectly into their little slots. Once again, just a light smearing of grease, and really don't use any other grease. Just go and buy, this costs like 16 bucks, and you could do 15-20 winches with that. So it's not really worth trying to find a substitute. There you go. Okay, that's just a little plastic cap. And that's fixed with a screw. Goes in the end of the shaft just to hold that cover plate on, which holds this whole ratchet assembly. Needs some Loctite just to make sure it doesn't come off. I'm just locating this ratchet assembly in here. It's held in with a couple of a pin which you drive in, has a spline on the top, which locates on a spline in the housing. So now I'm going to put the other one in. There you go, it's in there, and that should work. Now we're going to put the main ball races on. Same deal, bit of grease, get that onto there. Spacer to hold the two ball races apart. Another ball race, bit of grease. Bit of a spin. Now normally we wouldn't put the top of the drum on until after the winch base is bolted on, but I just want to put it all together so we don't lose any of the bits. Listen to that. I'm just going to do a very short piece to camera here, which helps explain why boat stuff takes so long to do. Very quick job, right? Bolt the winch on the coaming. Just got to take the top off the winch. All I've got to do is loosen these Allen bolts, and the whole top of it pops off. Alright, so I've got my multi set of Allen keys here that's got like 9 Allen keys on it. Alright, well, that one's too big, and so the next one down, next size. Oh look, that one's too small. Throw that one away. Right, what we got here? We've got all the Allen keys here that I just got out of my toolbox. No, that doesn't fit. Right, next size down. No, that's nearly fitting. Next size down. Oh, too small. Fuck it. Right, what have I got in here? Really handy drill set here, and it's got 3 different hex sizes. So I've got one of these out. Put it in my little thing. No, that's too big. That won't fit. I'm not getting stressed out or anything here, by the way. Next one down, next size, the number 5. Oh, that's too fucking small. Right, does my bloody head in.
Well, the cockpit, which wasn't really part of our refit to begin with, is now refitted. So we have breathed new life into our 43-year-old Peterson 44's cockpit. I'll give you a little tour of everything we've done. So all this woodwork here was all stripped right back and varnished with the 2K clear coat product that we've been using. There's still a bit of work in progress here. There's some wires here which haven't been covered up, and there's wires here to the plotters. This is where our navigation equipment goes. The reason why this is all a work in progress is because we've got the electricians Michael and Chris from Ion Marine Electronics here basically rewiring the whole boat, so that's part of what they're doing here. All this surface here, all of this that you saw at the beginning that was all crazed and just horrible, well, that was all repaired and painted by hand, rolled and tipped. Our washboards, so this is basically our version of a front door, that was all stripped back and re-varnished. This is a really good example of why everything on a boat takes so long, why it's actually taken, I think, 5 weeks just to put the cockpit back together again once the painting was finished. There was a lock in here that was seized up. We thought, okay, we'll replace them. Optimum time, we'll go and get a stainless equivalent. Well, number one, we couldn't find a stainless steel equivalent, and that was after going to every single chandlery in the area. Finally, we went to a good locksmith's, and they had a suitable barrel lock, not stainless steel. So essentially the same thing that happened before could well happen to this again, so we're going to need to keep lubricating it. Anyway, that took the best part of half a day just to sort out that one tiny little thing, so that's an example of how long things take. All our stainless steel framework here was all taken off. It had some cracks in it, so that was taken to Alec and his team, Alec and Annie, up at Airlie Welding. And those guys are fantastic. They've helped us out with all our stainless work on the refit so far, and yeah, they're great people. Nothing's ever too much trouble, and they've always done a really good job. So thank you to those guys. All the cracks were re-welded. Anything that needed fixing was fixed. It was all polished up, and then we were able to put it back on. Every single screw hole had to be re-drilled, re-sealed, all the screws bedded in. Obviously the Dodger's gone back on again. This Dodger's 4 years old. It was replaced after Cyclone Debbie by Ullman Sales Whitsunday, who did a great job. It follows the design of the Dodger that was on here when we originally bought the boat, which is among the best we've ever seen on a KP44. And they made some modifications, and we've just had more modifications made.
The trouble with soft Dodgers is you're always going to get leaks in them, but we've eliminated this one down here where the water was just running down the zip and running inside. So we had the guys make these add these little flaps on here, so they would actually catch the drips as they run down here and keep it outside the boat rather than going inside. So far, a bit of rain we've had, it stops that from happening. We've done the same thing down here. That one will work really well. We had some stronger clips put on down here as well. These were just press studs before, and every time we came out of here, like, you'd knock it and the press stud would come off. And we had these put, the same sort of thing put on down there. That was another place where you'd kick that and it would come off. So now, no, it doesn't.
All of this was done by Ullman. We've used them for years. They've made all our sails for us. They're a really good local company, and yeah, highly recommend them if you're in the Whitsundays and need any sail work done.
And good pricing as well. I think they're very competitive, and you get the added advantage of they're local, so they come down, they put it on, they tweak it. If there's anything not quite right, they'll fix it. It's just really good service, and they're nice people.
We've got the timber underneath here, which has all been oiled. Basically, you do have to keep this up. I think it's about every 6 months, or just when you notice that the water isn't beading on it anymore, you need to apply more coats. We've got these cockpit cushions, which you can see there's some Velcro here on this one, so it stays pretty rigid as people are walking in and out of the companionway. These were done by a local lady, Teresa, who is great. This is the second time we've had her do these for us, and I think The last lot lasted about 4 or 5 years, and it was really only sun UV degradation that finally sort of prompted us to do them in the end. We've reinstalled our teak grills. These were varnished before, but this time we took them back to bare teak with the oil on them again. It's really a lot nicer on your feet. We've got one of our pièce de résistance items here, which is the fabulous binnacle.
It was chrome plated brass originally.
And it was just looking terrible. And a long time ago, Julian said, oh, I might try and polish that up. And he hit it with a buffing pad, and it didn't really work. And we just didn't think it could be brought back from the dead. And then by accident, he happened to be going past with his little...
It's a nylon
wheel.
rotary wheel.
And just scuffed a little bit of that. And lo and behold, there was this colour. And he said, oh, wow, look, I think it will polish up. So gave it a go, and voila, look at this. Look at this.
And we've lacquered it with a 2K lacquer.
The same 2K lacquer that has been used to do the timbers. All our U-bolts and things have gone back in. This is where we clip on with jack lines if we're in particularly bad weather. These cam latches are a new addition. We've put them on both sides.
The latches are great because we've put a hollow D-shaped seal around these, hopefully stop them leaking. And the catches just pull them down and squash that seal really well.
This is not only a helm seat, but it also doubles as a very handy place for us to put our gas. Once the stove goes back in, we'll be ready to hook all that back up again. All the winches went back in.
All been serviced. The main sheet runs off this winch, and the lead comes around a turning foot block there, and another block here. Runs up a couple of blocks on the bottom of the boom, so I've replaced all those blocks. Main in strong winds is pretty tough to get in on this boat, so we've used some good quality Ronstan 75 series blocks throughout that, so hopefully our sail handling on the main will be a bit easier now.
This is one of my particular favourite features. We always had a space for a dorade here, cowling vent, which is part of the interior ventilation system, but there hasn't been a dorade on it for a long time, and now we've got this beautiful stainless steel Vetus vent, which I love. This is our life raft cradle. This is where the life raft sits. We made a bit of an adjustment here where we put a piece of board inside the bottom of the bag to just hold it nice and rigid so it's not sagging underneath the struts here. This in here, if you look at this cracked gel coat, this is what the whole cockpit used to be like. Anyway, this is a future project to clean this up, but for now we've got the electricians working on the wiring behind the ignition, and just like the Perspex cover that goes around the instruments that I showed you earlier on the wave brake, Julian remade the sliding cover for this, like so. That's really it. That's the cockpit complete, more or less, other than a couple of really minor things now. But yeah, that is a refit on a 43-year-old cockpit. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah! Cockpit's finished! Yeah. Cockpit's finished!
Okay, that's enough. That's a wrap.